Welcome to Bare Exposures, a photographer's rap session. Bare Exposures will vary from week to week and cover a wide range of topics, and I hope to entertain and inform you. So, let's get started. Grab your grip and hang on. In this episode, I've got some Nikon news, and I'm going to talk about a cool tool that might help landscape photographers find just the right place. And Nikon users, before you upgrade your Apple iOS operating system to version 10.2, you might want to check first. Let's get started. Okay, guys, so first, let's talk about Adobe and what they've got up their sleeve. Now, wouldn't it be cool if you could edit your photos just by using your voice? Well, Adobe is working on something that might allow you to do some things. Now, check this out. I would like to be able to say, Adobe, I want the horse in this image to be a little bit more exposed, and let's darken the background some around the horse. Now, not the horse, and watch it take care of my commands. But I'm afraid it won't work that way, guys. Probably not now, probably not ever. But Adobe really is working on a way to get some voice commands. So let's jump into this article from F-Stoppers. Adobe brings voice control to photo editing. And they do have a little YouTube clip on just how it works. But it works more like Siri, so you can tell Adobe to say crop your photo to a 1:1, at least in the illustration that they gave. You can tell Adobe to crop your photo in a 1:1 aspect ratio. You can tell it to do stuff like flip it. Things. I guess you can give it commands. Maybe even do stuff like add a keyword tag to it that Adobe can write algorithms and programs whereby the program will understand your voice commands. Of course, your program won't see an image the way you see it, so it's no way it's gonna darken your background in a specific setting unless you just want it to darken the entire exposure. And I can see the program ultimately doing that. Increase the exposure of this image by a stop, because it doesn't have to make any real decisions. So let's hope maybe that's on the horizon pretty soon. That remains to be seen. So let's keep going. So we'll see if that come to pass. And going back, what else do we have on the agenda? Sigma has announced a 24-70 art series lens. Now, that's cool. The 24-70 is a really popular focal length for working photographers. With the 24-70 and the 70-200, then working professionals get a focal length range from 24 to 200, which for the most part cover everything that photographers need to do professional work, primarily weddings and portraits. And the thing about the 24 to 70 focal length is it's in that sweet spot where the glass can actually make everything look like it was taken with a prime. I may get some arguments here because I know some of you guys shoot nothing but primes, or some of you shoot primarily primes, and the reason you do it is because primes do have a certain look, but for a working situation where you're running and gunning, you don't have time to focus and frame the groom and the bride at the altar, and then swing your camera and capture the tear running down the face of the parents, or one of the parents, and then swing back to the bride and groom at the altar. So with a zoom, you can do that. You zooming in on the altar, and then you see this tear running down the bride's mother's face. So you swing and make that picture, and you swing back. So those are some of the kinds of things that it might be real hard to do with a prime. That's not to say you can't do it, but imagine you're in a wedding and you're shooting primes, and you want to get the photo, so you're constantly moving because you're zooming with your feet. It just don't work as well. So anyway, that's one of the reasons why these zoom lenses are so popular for certain professions. For portraiture, I prefer nothing but primes, even though I do some portrait work with my zoom lenses. I can see taking the time to make the image with the primes. Anyway, I digress, and I'm gonna come back and talk about what I want to talk about, which is Sigma. Now, this is rumor. I've got this information from Canon Rumors, and so they filed a patent back in. I saw that information someplace, but it was sometime last year. I think they filed the patent. There's not a lot of information on that 24-7 there, but we are told that it will be, and I think the patent included, that it will be a constant f 2.8 aperture. So it ought to be a lens that's going to compete with Canon's. I think now it's a $1,700 24-70. Speaking of 24-70s and Canon's $1,700 24-70, lenses generally hold their value, but in a span of 3 years, maybe 4, let's see, but I'm gonna say 3. In a span of about 3 years plus, the 24-70, which was selling at roughly $2,400. Maybe $2,200, somewhere thereabout. But I think it was $2,399. Yeah, $2,400 is now available for $1,700. So that's a pretty big drop in value for those of you guys who made the initial investment. Now Nikon has come out with a 24-70, a 70-200 f2.8, a constant f2.8 that's selling right now for I think $2,900, somewhere thereabout. And you gotta wonder if it might not be worth holding off and making do for a year or two before you spring to buy these lenses now, because if I'm going to lose that much value in a period of 3 years, then then the question becomes, whether or not I have to have this lens and have it now. And I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I can hold off on this lens and save $300, $600, $800 just by waiting. So some of you guys I know have money to throw around, can go out and say, hey, I'm gonna get into photography, and wow, this stuff is expensive, so I'm gonna spend $8,000-$10,000 to get started. I was at Duke Gardens and I saw a guy with a brand new low pro bag on his back carrying a 1DX Mark II, and I didn't want to be invasive, so I didn't see what lens he was shooting, but clearly he wasn't a working professional and looked like all of his gear was brand new. And so my thoughts were, for this guy, he just have the money to buy new equipment, but who knows, he may have been a dabbler, an enthusiast who just upgraded, but I just didn't get that impression. Anyway, who am I to judge? But maybe that's some gear envy. No, I didn't think I really envied his gear, because I think I got pretty much what I want to do, what I need to do. However, I do want and plan to get the 5D Mark IV. And, as a working professional, a working photographer, then for me, that's got to be a planned purchase. Even though it's a business expense, I just can't up and grab that camera just like that. But by waiting, I can get feedback from you guys on the beauty and the benefits of that camera, and I can let the price come down if it ain't but $100 or $200 or $300. I'm hoping, but over a year, $200 or $300 is not that likely. Chances are, it won't come down at all. But if I were willing to wait 2 years, then by that time the camera would start to feel dated, especially with the competition, the mirrorless competition, constantly introducing new bodies with new capabilities, and some of the some of the dynamic ranges of these new mirrorless bodies are just so phenomenal that may drive the price down of some of the Canon cameras. And I do shoot Canon, so that's why, and I intend to stay in the Canon ecosystem, for the lack of a better word. So anyway, let's keep moving. So let's get back to our screen that showed me where I'm going next. And so for you landscape photographers, I mentioned that there's a tool that you might be interested in that might help you in your photography. Now, there is a tool. Let's see, I was surfing around Petapixels, and I ran across an article that talked about a guy who developed a website that show you popular or not so popular hotspots for taking photos. But basically, the way this tool works is it grab pictures, and I'm not sure whether the author, who is Mike Wong, is the guy who cull through and decide which pictures go on the website. But may be confusing you. Anyway, the way this tool works is the tool grab pictures from 500px, and so the way that tool works is the tool would grab pictures from 500px and post it on in a place where you can see where the picture was taken. So if you want to go and emulate that picture, then you can. You can sort the pictures by, actually, let's go there here. You can sort the picture. Well, let's not do it that way. You get a Google map, and you can look at the map, determine where you're going to be and see what pictures were taken in that location. You can narrow your search of the pictures by the month of the year. You can narrow your pictures by the month. Let's say you want to see pictures that were taken in your neighborhood or in your neck of the woods in, say, June. Well, you can you can drag a slider down to June and just see what pictures were made in June at any given location. And the cool thing about this is that it is worldwide, so you can look and see what pictures were made pretty much anywhere in the world. Now, it's not complete. There are some countries that I didn't see a lot of pictures, and then there are some areas that I saw an overwhelming amount of pictures, particularly in the Netherlands. But I'm in the U.S., so, of course, unless I was gonna plan a trip across one of the two ponds, then I would go to the U.S., and by doing so, I'm able to look at pictures in my neck of the woods. So right now I'm kind of playing around with the tool, and I'm zooming in on North Carolina, and let's look and see what's in western North Carolina. Now, I don't see anything, but I think I'm backed in or just looking at June. So I'm gonna slide my slider back up to the top so I can look at all photos. And I don't know whether, when they say June, I don't know whether they're talking June of all years or June of just last year. So, there are some questions that this app may have, but we'll figure it out. Let's go to Asheville. That's a beautiful part of the country, and the reason I go there because it's in my neck of the woods. So I'm in Asheville, and now I can look at pictures that were made in Asheville, and when I click on the thumbnail, it actually takes me to 500px to where that picture was curated on the 500px website. So it's pretty cool. That's something that I think as it get more and more popular, it can really become a useful tool, especially again for you guys who shoot landscapes. And I can see where it would benefit me because no matter where in the world that I want to plan a trip, then I can find some pretty cool locations, at least to start with. Now, I'm one of those guys who actually like to get out and go off the beaten trail and hopefully find my own locations. But if you look at my website, then one of the things that you don't see are my landscape work. However, I do have a link on my website to my Flickr page where any of the landscape work that I thought was worthy of displaying, I've got put on Flickr. Yongnuo has released they announced back in November a flash, a speedlight with an LED constant light source on it that they say is suitable for videography. Yongnuo has introduced a speedlight, a flash, and I use the terms interchangeably, that has 3 LEDs on it, and they say that it's capable of providing constant light for video. And that's huge, because I can see where working wedding photographers may occasionally want to add bonus video to their still work, to their still photography work, for the couple. In fact, I did a wedding a couple years ago now, and when it got to the first dance, I did do some video work of the first dance. Unfortunately, I didn't have a video light, and it just didn't look that good. So I didn't deliver that portion of the work to the couple. But quite honestly, they didn't miss it. They were so excited, and there was so much going on. Anyway, but yeah, this speed light may be huge, because if I can mix some videography in with my photography, especially, as a bonus to the couple, especially for those who don't have a separate videographer, then that would actually increase the value of my work. And the reason why most photographers don't include videography to their work is lighting. Usually it takes a different of course it takes a constant light source, and if you're inside, then oftentimes it don't work. For outdoor weddings, it's generally not a problem to add a clip or two of videography to as bonus work, but I generally don't offer the videography as part of a package, because for anyone who have tried videography, you realize it's a whole different animal. Well, it's a cousin. It takes constant lighting, and oftentimes it takes audio equipment, which generally is not part of the photography vernacular. So anyway, with this new speed light, I'm excited about it, and I don't, it's just been it's just become available. So perhaps somewhere down the road, I get my hands on it and do a review. After the review, then I may decide to keep it or send it back. I mentioned in the introduction that some of you guys who shoot Nikon may want to wait. If you edit with the Apple platform, you may want to wait before upgrading your operating system to version 10.2. I don't have a lot of details on this, except that the latest version of SnapBridge does not work well with version 10.2. Now, I'm sure that that's been addressed, and hopefully by the time this video, by the time that I upload this video, that will be fixed. But as of, So this is brand new. As of January the 11th, 2017, this issue persists. But I really suspect that Nikon and Apple will iron this problem out within the next few days or weeks. I don't see this being a persistent problem. So anyway, guys, let's go ahead and move on to our critique. Now, as many of you know by now, that I do a weekly critique on images that were submitted to be critiqued. And this is only episode number 2. The first critique was terrible. Hopefully, I've had some, when I was doing that critique, I'm using a program called OSB, and it did not cooperate me in spite of several attempts to do the critique. For some reason, I couldn't get it to see the Lightroom work. I was thinking that I was recording the critique that I was doing in Lightroom, but when I played it back, some of the Lightroom stuff was just not there, and I tried more than once to fix that. Anyway, so I decided that when I switch to Lightroom, I'm going to use a separate application, and when I'm doing that part of the critique, you will not see the little thumbnail of me in the bottom. Okay, so if you want your image critique, please remember to use the link below to find out, to go to the Flickr page where you can submit, or you can search Flickr for critiques by Frank White. If you search Flickr, then be sure to search Flickr groups. Okay. So, Julio submitted 3 images, and we'll start with the first one, which is a scenic image of Chinatown. Now, I've never been to Chinatown, so I'm assuming this is probably in New York. This image does not have a map attached to it, but let's talk about the image. Okay, so, oh wow, I like this image. Technically, I like how crisp and sharp it is. Technically, it's just on the money. It's got great dynamic range, and it just come at me. However, I see some things in it that I think maybe it'll be improved for this scene. Now, it is street photography, looks like, and I see that he made this image with the EOS Rebel T6i. Oh wow, that's a great camera. And looks like he used a focal length of 18 millimeters, using an 18 to 35 millimeter lens. So 18 to 35 millimeter, that must be the Sigma Art lens, which would explain why this image is so technically sharp. Great lens, Julio. Okay, and the first thing that I see about this image is that I'm seeing this foreground with these 2 manhole covers and a bunch of street that just don't add to the image, just does not add to the image. In fact, I think it kind of take away from the image. So if there was some way that you could crop that out, crop in a little tighter, on the left side of the image, I'm looking down at a chaotic scene that too doesn't really add anything to the image. On the right side of the image, I see that the story is being continued. So and let's see if I can't that up. Okay, this author Julio has download from Flickr disabled, so I can't pull it into Lightroom. So let's see if I can't figure out a way to emulate. Yeah. So just by blowing it up so that my screen does not show the entire image, then you can get an idea of what I'm trying to say. So I think this crop here, if it makes for a stronger image than this. On this image, which is also by Julio, now this image was made with a EOS 80D. That too is a great camera. With a 35 millimeter f1.4. Great lens, nice gear. I look at this image and I love the way that it's framed, with the repeating patterns from the bench, and at the end of the repeating patterns there's a payoff. However, to me it looked kind of snapshot-ish. I realized that for this framing to center, it does work to center the image, but I'm looking at it and I see that the backpack is on the subject. I'm looking at the image and I see that the backpack is on the subject. I also see this pole in the background that look like it's leaning off to the left. I see this little piece of the shoe in the background. So those little details, as small as they may look, actually take away from the image. And what you're hearing in the background is Tico, the dog. And the building looks like it's leaning. Lightroom CC does provide some tools now to straighten all this stuff up. Also, it looks a tad bit flat, especially compared to the image, the first image you submitted. So to be honest with you, the image does not look like it's from the same photographer. So what I might would do to the image is remake it and maybe sit down on the buttocks and put the feet up under the bench. See if I still couldn't hold that same framing, and play a little bit more and do a little bit more in post. Maybe try to get it on a day when I got blue skies rather than an overcast, cloudy sky. Just some suggestions that might make this image stronger, to get it more into a creative, artistic style of an image rather than looking like it was something that's just a snapshot. Okay, so now I do like this image. The muted tones actually work for this image. Now, as a photographer, you might want to decide whether your style. I do like the muted tones, but as a photographer, you may want to decide whether your style is going to be the saturation that's in this image or the muted tones. Now, I realize that these images may have been taken with different equipment. Yeah, again, this was taken with the EF 35 millimeter, and the this was taken with the EOS 80D, and the first image I saw was taken with a different camera body. And I get it, because on one of my camera bodies, images just automatically show up a whole lot warmer than they do on the other. So I get that sometimes the equipment just might show images a little differently. I get that the equipment just might show the dynamic range a little differently, but the saturation, the saturation, contrast, and exposure, you get to control in post. Now, I love that you've got this sunburst right over his head. That draws my eyes first, and then my eyes go right to his face, which also draw my eyes. On the left side, if you had cropped out a little bit of the left to be a little bit more consistent with the rule of thirds, I think that would have made the image a tad bit stronger. And if you could have got both feet in the image, then that would have made the image a little bit stronger. However, if you're going to crop, then I would crop maybe a little bit higher than right there at the ankle. That just kind of feel uncomfortable. But I suspect the best crop on this image would be a three-quarter body headshot, so cropping somewhere just above the elbows, and cropping out the knees somewhere around the mid thigh. Let's see, maybe about right up in here. Maybe a crop like that might have made this image really a portrait that's wall worthy, or to either get back and capture the entire body. So again, these critiques are just my opinion. If you're happy with your photos, then don't change a thing. Photography is subjective, and what I might suggest may not be in your vision. Photography is artistic, so if this is your vision, then run with it. And that goes with all three images. So I hope I've been able to provide you guys some good information on the image critique. And now let's move into the section that I call Whatever. I've got a section called Whatever, and in this section of Whatever, I'm going to talk about whatever come to mind. The Whatever episodes or sections does not have to talk, well, basically I just talk about whatever come to mind. Whether it be photography related or something that's on my mind, it's just whatever. And in today's Whatever, I'm going to talk about, first of all, I want to stop and apologize because I should have gotten this video out days ago. Even though I have done reviews, I'm still trying to work out kinks in being able to capture my screen. Self-taught with everything that I do, including photography. And lo and behold, I've been capturing the screen using third-party software, and well, all that's third-party software. But I've been capturing the screen using a a open source package called OSB, which is really a good package. And I've been using another open source, testing another open source product called Cam Studio, both of which are free and you can download, which allow you to capture your screen um, for playback in a video. What I do like about OSB is I'm able to create that little picture in picture so that you can see me from my webcam as I make edits to your photo. However, Cam Studio does not do that. But a few minutes ago, I just discovered that Premiere Pro has a screen capture. Now, okay, yeah, all of this time I've been using Premiere Pro. Well, I guess about almost a year. I started with Premiere 12, Premiere 9 or something, Premiere Elements 9, and I moved to Premiere Elements 12. And now I finally decided that because I wanted Premiere Pro to go ahead and spring for the entire suite for the entire Premiere, the entire Adobe suite, the $50 a month suite, and I may even upgrade to the what $80 or $90 a month suite so that I can get the stock images that might help because as cool as it might sound, it's just unrealistic to think that every time I want a stock image, a B-roll, that I'm going to go out and make my own B-roll. But before I actually do that, I do intend to try to make my own B-roll and just see where it go. B-roll is the video that you might see that kind of that might tie in something like for this video. B-roll is often called the glue, so this is an example of the glue. This is B-roll. So I'm working B-roll into this just to give you an idea. Anyway, and I hadn't planned to do that. I had mentioned that I'm sorry for the delay because I've been testing software trying to iron out the kinks. And I want to mention that making videos, developing a channel is a lot of work. I mean, it is really a lot of work. Now, I'm not complaining, but I do have to give props to the people who do this regular, who actually, I mean, especially Tony and Chelsea Northrop, and I'm only talking about other photographers, people with similar channels who inspired me to do this. Tony and Chelsea Northrop, Toby from PhotoRec TV was a big inspiration. Matt Granger has been a big inspiration. And even though those guys have been doing it for years, longer than I have, they really have come a long way. They've got it down packed. They make it look easy. But it's a lot of work. Even for me, from the prospect of setting up to make a video, you know, it takes me 5 minutes or so to get me in focus. Oftentimes I have to put something where I'm at, focus on me, put my camera in manual focus, and then start shooting. Well, put my camera in manual focus, make sure I'm in focus, then remove that, and that's how I get my focus. As soon as I upgrade to cameras with dual pixel autofocus, then hopefully I won't have to do that. Now, I could probably go ahead and pull the trigger and upgrade to an 80D, but that would throw back my plans to upgrade to the 5D Mark IV, which is why I'm holding back on buying additional gear until I can get that camera. But things change. One of the things that I'm thinking, if that hopefully I can get a little bit more, book a few more jobs for early 2017 and push that date for acquiring that piece of gear up sooner. But anyway, that's my little photographer's chat. What's coming up? I've reached out to a couple of people, so I've got. I know I'm gonna do an interview next month with a drone photographer. I'm talking. I've reached out to a guy who is a head. A head organizer. One of the head organizers for a photo club, so I hope to interview him coming up. There are a couple of local camera stores in this area, so hopefully I can get an interview with one of those guys from one of the camera stores. So if you want to see an interview, if you're in the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area, and you would like to see me interview someone from one of the camera stores, then shoot them an email. The two stores that are local, one is Southeastern Camera in Raleigh. They also have a location in Chapel Hill. The other store is Peace Camera, and that is also in Raleigh. Wow, I remember when there were 4 or 5 camera stores in Durham, and now there are only 2 camera stores in the whole area, and both of those stores are independently owned. But anyway, that might be a good subject for some other whatever chat at some time in the future. Okay, so I don't want to run on. I know that sometimes when some people whose videos I watch tend to be people who seemingly to me love to talk. I generally am on the quiet side. I generally don't speak unless I really feel like I have something to say, and it's so even speaking is for me a exercise in getting better, and I hope that as time goes by, I can be more dynamic. I can drop so many arms and so's and okays that I tend to repeat over and over in my videos. So I hope you guys stay patient with me as I learn the art and the science of making and maintaining and growing a community on YouTube. Well, that's about it for today. I appreciate every one of you guys, especially those of you who stuck through and watched the entire episode, the entire show to the end. I appreciate that, and I plan to get the next episode of Bear Exposures out really soon. So that's it. Anyway, if you're gonna shoot anybody today, shoot them with a Canon or a camera of your choice, and keep shooting no matter what.